888-5685. And okay, stream finally started up. Apologies if you're waiting for the stream to start up. I'm going to go ahead and blame the weather on that one, as it's looking like it's going to start getting hairy here. But now we are streaming Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Allo Channel 961. Looks like we're going to have a rainy Tuesday night. Good morning, Pierson-El. How's it going?
It's going well. Power ain't go out yet, so we good.
Yeah, power is still here. I was panicking. I could not get these streams to start up to save my life. And I was like, I don't know what's coming, but hopefully it's not indicative that more severe weather is headed their way. But of course, be careful you are driving. Looks like we do got a chance for severe weather. I got to start here. But when it comes to the Vikings, the punt on the season, Jordan Addison, for anybody who missed it, out with an apparent leg injury. JJ McCarthy did undergo surgery, so going to be out for months, not weeks. Minnesota Vikings, what are you thinking?
They also lost another receiver not too long ago. I think he might have tore his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. From what I've seen, they said Addison injury isn't as severe as they thought it was, so probably just a bad rolled ankle. I wouldn't say, tank or anything like that. I mean, you can expect them to probably go out here and get a veteran quarterback or something like that. Or you remember when they traded for Joshua Dobbs, like in the middle of the season or whatnot? So, I mean, they might do something like that just to kind of beef up, their room. But, I mean, they're starting negative early on. And it sucks. So hopefully they figure things out. But they got a lot going for themselves other than, just the quarterback position. So I wouldn't say, just forget this year and, do something else. Because, I mean, if the coach don't do as well, he could be out of a job. So regardless if the pieces aren't necessarily there, you still have a job to do and figure out how to make, that team successful with what pieces you do have.
Yeah, it's man, what a brutal start if you're a Vikings fan. Is that one of the most cursed franchises in the NFL?
I would say the Washington team is probably worse than them, but I mean they're you can put them in there. Them, the Bears. No,
hey, we've won before. You put I think sitting at the top is probably the Bills, because that's just painful. I think it's worse to be at the cusp of winning the Super Bowl time after time after time and just getting denied. It's just almost kind of like in Nebraska, where it's like there's no way the ball just keeps bouncing the other way. I think the Bills probably sit on the throne of the quote unquote most.
I would agree with that one. That's football wise. I was speaking of like a whole organization. That's why I said the Washington football team, because with their past owner, what he was.
Is that really a curse, or is that just a certain individual?
I mean, he's been owning the team for 20 plus years. So, I mean,
I think it's just a bad guy. I don't think there's any voodoo going on there. I think that's just at least he's out though, right? Like if you're a fan, we don't spend enough time talking about the Commanders. How do you feel about Jayden Daniels before we continue to dive into the NFL?
He probably looks the most comfortable out of all rookies. And for what he was able to do and showed from rookie debuts this past weekend, I felt like, he probably did the best. I mean, the man came to the line, checked it, and threw a bomb. I know they kind of pulled him early on, but for you to be comfortable enough to even, remotely pull that, he can be scary as long as they can protect him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be a refreshing chapter for the Commanders. I just think that is certainly a team up there where, if we want to call it a curse, yeah, we can call it a curse. I mean, it just probably has not been fun. Shout out the boss man, Derek Pierson. I know how he's felt in the past. There's a silver lining, a glimmer of hope. So hopefully things can finally start turning around. But yeah, you could probably argue they're certainly up there. So, I mean, not where I wanted to go with this, but it is kind of catching my attention here. If we're going to go with the cursed franchises, I think I got Bills at number one. I think Commanders, we can call it a curse, whatever you want to call it. I think the Commanders are probably fair at two. Vikings, just all the field goal sets, if they missed bouncing off, doinking off the post, I'd probably put them at 3. Who do you got for 4? Or you can swap any of the ones we just listed. But we got a Super Bowl, come on. It's not like we've never won anything before. And always a good defense. It's never a complete failure. Number 5. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Give me
5. 5. Honestly, like outside of this past year's success, you can. Then again, I'm not too sure because when Matthew Stafford was in Detroit were actually pretty dominant. They had some good years, and you can say the same thing kind of like with the Bengals with Andy Dalton up there. So like they've had better turnouts more so than not. You could probably say the Jets, honestly.
Yeah, the Jets are a tough one.
You can say the Jets. The Jets might be 4, and I'll move the Bears to 5.
All right. Well, the Bears they're heading in the right direction at the very least. So hopefully we can change that. If they get some wins here, maybe we can just take them off the list completely. I'd probably throw the Cardinals in there as well. I don't know. Like again, that's just franchise that's never really clicked on full cylinders. Cursed might be a strong word to use. It feels just more like an inability.
Yeah,
to get a complete team together.
I could agree with that one. I could agree definitely for sure with that one. I mean,
402-464-5685.
Jacksonville has had successful season under with Bortles when Ramsey and all of them were down there, but they weren't really anything overly crazy. I know when Maurice Jones-Drew was down there, they were pretty good. Fred Taylor, they were pretty good. The Browns, of course. I mean, we're forgetting the Browns. The Browns up there. I mean, outside of the more, I would say, right before Baker, probably, or up until Baker's like second year, because Baker was fine with them.
I still think that's just a terrible move. I can't believe they got rid of Baker after years of searching for a quarterback. They get one that finally gets them to the playoffs. Yeah, he's probably not the next Patrick Mahomes, but my Lord, did you forget about your entire history?
Literally. So yeah, I would say the Browns are up there, but they've been a lot more successful in the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, thanks to that run game, just dominating. I mean, does Deshaun Watson figure it out this year? Like, does he look like his former self a little bit, like when he was with the Houston Texans?
I think it's still there. I just think the style of that play isn't really kind of what they're calling on offense. They're kind of 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, play action pass. And he's more so of a spread it out, quick pass offense. So the clash of 2 identities are kind of there. Can he figure it out and get things done? Yes. I think this is the year to kind of see him kind of take a step over and kind of get back to what we are used to him being at, especially with Chubb maybe not being there early on as an option. I think you might rely on, passing things out. You got Cooper still there. You got Dale, you got Jerry Jeudy that you traded for or whatnot. So you don't acquire those type of pieces if you don't want to, open up the passing game a little bit more.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And another note here, it looks like we got the TVs. Maybe it heads to the airwaves as well. We got a we got a weather alert going on right now, so might interrupt us here. But of course, we're going to keep it rolling. Yeah, and man, I'm curious to see this NFL season. I don't even know where to start sometimes because of all the pieces that are being moved. And where I really want to go on this first segment before we just got on this tangent, who are the biggest pieces? I did this in the last hour. I went solo. I was going through the NBA, the new faces of these teams, the biggest addition. When we're looking at the NFL, which guys heading to new teams do you think are going to have the greatest impact in terms of their win-loss drastically changing?
I want to throw the Chargers and Harbaugh out there just because the attention that he's gotten with the whole cheating scandal with
He offered Colin Kaepernick a job there too, which is interesting.
But I mean, you got Harbaugh, who's he's won at every level. You know, he had Andrew Luck, he had Kaepernick. You've seen what he did at Michigan and whatnot, but you have an elite talent in Herbert, and you have pieces around him on the defensive side. Running back wise, we'll see. You know, you got Greg Roman there on the offensive side. So just to see kind of how more disciplined that group will be. They've had a talented roster. So I think that's a piece that you have to, you know, watch out for and whatnot. Just because I don't think they'll be probably the same Chargers as we've seen over the years. Now, will they be a drastic change from this year? I'm not too sure, but I think they'll be in a better place mentally and execution and preparation, probably, of just, you know, not having the woes and to kind of be in games and be up and stuff, and then just, you know, piss down their leg. So them.
Obviously, when you go to the running backs, you got to think Derrick Henry to the Ravens is going to be utterly absurd. And then, well, I'm going to be biased here. I think Swift to the Bears is a pretty big deal as well to help add to that running back room. And when you go other running backs, obviously you're going to think of the Eagles.
Saquon, I was about to say Saquon's before I would even do Derrick Henry, I probably would have went Saquon, just because, I mean, they might be the Avengers. I mean, that on the offensive side, I mean, what they have at tight end, what they have at receiver, the offensive line and quarterback, like that's a powerhouse. That is a more stacked offense than probably Baltimore. You know, certain positions, yeah, you're even, but I mean, you got probably, you know, top 5, top 7 guys at multiple positions, and that's crazy. You don't see that often. So I would definitely throw Saquon second, just because that is a layup probably for him.
Oh, yeah.
You can go Derrick Henry, but we don't necessarily know like what's that going to be like with them. Like you heard, you know, their offensive coordinator talking about getting away from the run game against the Chiefs and everything like that. I mean, you had Gus the Bus that was ripping off 30 and 40-yard runs, and so I mean, you implement, you know, Derrick Henry in that for sure with him and Lamar, along with Andrews, and you know, that wide receiver core with Zay Flowers out there and whatnot. Of course, you know, you expect a lot from them. So I mean, that's definitely a focal point.
Yeah, I know Odell Beckham didn't even really take off the way people are hoping. That team was still pretty dominant. To me, it's going to fall on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. Continue to develop in the passing game, because if he can continue to trend in the right direction that way, which I certainly think he's better at.
To me, it's more so the coach. Like, what are you allowing him to do? He's shown you the things that people said he couldn't do. He's been doing it. It's just they weren't getting called. But I don't think Lamar Jackson lost them that playoff game against the Chiefs. It wasn't his fault that they lost.
Yeah, we've been through this road before. The play calling was a head scratcher.
I'm not. People keep trying to stick things with Lamar. Like, Lamar's not the issue necessarily. The right guy in there to get the plays on the right track, to keep things moving at a steady pace. Lamar has shown to execute with or without superstars around him. He's been dominant since he's came in the league. So Lamar is not the problem. It's more so who's calling the plays, necessarily making sure you're keeping him on time, making sure you keeping the offense moving to where you're getting him in positions to where he does what he does best. So I'm not worried about Lamar. Lamar is going to be that. He's a 2-time MVP for a reason. So I'm, you know, completely sure with that one.
To be clear, I don't have any doubts on Lamar Jackson. I just think if they want to break the NFL, if he just continues to thrive in that category, and, you know, hopefully you get some play calling that fits with it, I mean, look what Derrick Henry did with the Titans. When have the Titans had a pass game that was threatening? And he still was just killing teams through the run, despite, it was being pretty obvious it was going to Henry more often than not. And, obviously with Jones, they tried it out there. But I'm optimistic on that team, just simply for the fact that if Lamar Jackson keeps trending in the right direction in terms of his passing game, and hopefully you're right, if the OC is going to be able to work with him, it felt a little bit what the Justin Fields, I hate to keep picking on him, but really more on the OC. What they did to Fields just was never suited for his play style. And then when they finally figured it out, it looks like they took a couple of plays from the Baltimore Ravens. The next season, they got off of it. And guess what? You saw a worse version of Justin Fields. So with Lamar Jackson, if he continues to build up there, you're going to see, I think, another explosive season from Derrick Henry. And they still got some guys in that running back room to where he's not just going to be, if he needs a breather every now and then, they'll be fine.
Another, I would say, a key piece or a piece of what you can say, I think the Bills, that whole situation.
Chase Claypool out, another receiver.
From I won't say a negative standpoint, but you see some of these teams that made big moves. The Bills made a big move that might be, to them, it might be a positive thing. But outside looking in, we kind of looking at you crazy because we've seen Josh Allen without a true number one receiver. He wasn't doing the same. You gave him a top 5 receiver in Stephon Diggs, and for the past 4 years, y'all have been a top 3 offense. Y'all have been a playoff threat. Y'all just couldn't get over the hump, and now all of a sudden you take that away, and we don't really know what to look at. The Bills, like, are y'all still the same type of threat? Not only did you lose Steph, you lost your 1 and 2 punch on the outside with what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Was it an offense, defense? Or are you talking the edge rusher?
Offense, the other receiver. 13. I just can't think of his name. The ex receiver. I can't think of his name, but he's in Jacksonville. I know he's in Jacksonville. You lose him. So we don't really know exactly. We know or we are accustomed to Bill.
Gabe Davis. There we go.
Say it again.
Are you talking about Gabe Davis?
Yes, Davis. That's his name. We are known or been accustomed to Josh Allen being a gunslinger. Well, 2 of your top targets are gone, and we don't necessarily know exactly what your offensive identity is going to be. So I think that is a key piece of, like, okay, well, what's brewing necessarily in their division? Their division is, it's not as strong anymore. But I mean, you got the Patriots, you got the Jets. With the Jets are coming back with A-Rod. You got Miami and the Bills. So that's you're not in the easy division. So we don't know what to expect the Bills to be like without a Stephon Diggs on the roster. So I think that's another key piece, or a face of the offseason or the NFL, to where we don't really know exactly what it's going to look like.
Do you think that was a knee-jerk reaction with Diggs and trying to, really didn't try too hard to make it work out? Because if you remember in that playoff game when things really fell apart, Diggs had quite a few dropped balls. It was very unlikely of himself. But do you think that played a major factor? I still think it was completely the wrong move. I think you got to figure it out to keep him happy, because this version of Josh Allen, I have a hard time believing, as great as he is, he just doesn't have a lot of weapons out there. And you see that all the time with quarterbacks, even the young quarterbacks. If you don't give them weapons, they just won't thrive. And Josh Allen, he's a great quarterback, but he's not the same kind of style of Patrick Mahomes, where Patrick Mahomes can figure it out, and he still has Kelsey, who's just the ultimate bailout for all the seasons he's been there. With Allen, he doesn't even have one bailout guy. It feels like it's just going to be tough throw after tough throw, and those windows are only going to be smaller. And I know there's not a lot of people that were high on Chase Claypool, but that wide receiver room wasn't deep to begin with. And then you lose Claypool. Like, I don't know who's going to have for like true consistent targets that he can rely on.
From the receiver standpoint, depending on how healthy or how reliable, how durable Curtis Samuel is. Curtis Samuel is a legit guy. So I mean, he could be, your number one target. KJ Hamler is in that room as well. You drafted a guy early in the second round, I think, with Coleman, and then you got Kincaid there. So I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily know what it's going to look like, and I don't know what happened with. I don't think it was Josh and Steph. I think Steph probably had some issues with the organization, and they might have probably got fed up or tired of dealing with certain stuff or whatnot. But
that could be true. Josh Allen did have a quote. He wasn't bashing on him, but he did have a point where he said, "We're not going to miss him." So maybe that's indicative of just things weren't great in the locker room, or maybe just saying like, "Yeah, I'm not going to."
You gotta finish exactly what he said about that whole thing. That was the piece that everybody kind of took out as like, oh, he didn't miss you, but he actually went in there and said, of course you're going to miss those type of guys, and he kind of went on to kind of clear up that statement. The
way I took it is he was like, in a way that you're saying like, yeah, he's obviously a great player, but I'm not going to enter the season being like, man, I wish Diggs was still here. Like that's kind of the way
exactly. Like, he wasn't trying to put down, I guess, the current guys that he have there, or he's trying to be, the whatever he says is going to get, misinterpreted or twist. He was just saying, believing, pretty much the guys that he has there, and there's nothing wrong with that or whatnot. I'm pretty sure he's had the moment of like, yeah, well, things will be a lot easier or whatnot. And like I said, we don't know what Josh Allen is exactly without, a top 5 receiver. Because before Diggs wasn't got there, it wasn't all good and things wasn't looking too crazy, and he was kind of looking a little iffy. And then they traded for Steph, and that next year he went off, and he's been on that level. So we don't know exactly how things are going to be. We know how things are going to be with Kansas City if Mahomes doesn't have, a top receiver. We've seen it, what he can do. We've seen what Lamar can do without having, a top receiver and whatnot. So we've seen, Joe Burrow with and without, a top receiver. He got hurt the year he didn't have Jamar, but he was on track to still be fine and dandy. So it's kind of a question mark of like, okay, well, what's Josh Allen are we going to get? Have you grown? Like, can you lead this offense necessarily with things and whatnot? So they're in a pinch. Joe Brady, he's a great offensive coordinator, but what is your identity going to be? You struggled last year with running the ball, and I think that kind of hurt, why Diggs wasn't getting a lot of, the ball thrown his way, just because people knew what was coming. The coverages was rolling your way, and, their run game wasn't very strong. So you were a pass first team, and people were sitting on that and taking away your first and second options, and you had to figure out a different way to beat people. So it's going to be something to see exactly how they get things done this year.
Yeah, and I will say the run game was certainly just poor in that first half, but that second half of the season, they did kind of start to figure out how to open things up, and that's a big part of the OC, switching things up. I think James Cook can actually have a pretty big year, because you really saw what it looked like in that second half of the season when they changed the play calling a little bit for him. The run packages weren't just incredibly basic. That's the way I put it. As a guy who didn't play NFL or college football, like I could kind of pick out those run schemes, the way that it was really easy reads for those linebackers to figure out where do I need to fill. It just was zero creativity in there. Despite having one of the most elite passers in the game, they couldn't figure out a way to disguise it at all, which always blew my mind. I think a big part of that is Josh Allen always be playing in shotgun. You get the new OC in there. They switch things up a little bit. Now it's not so obvious with that handoff. I mean, obviously they didn't play football, but I imagine it's pretty easy for those linebackers, a lot easier to read when the quarterback's in shotgun to see where that ball is going, as opposed to him stepping back and trying to disguise it a little bit. So I think that's certainly going to help out a lot. And it's going to be a big part, because Josh Allen, he's a great runner in himself, and I think they're going to need a little bit more of that, especially with the wide receiver core. And before we go to break, if you're a Bills fan, this is what you're working with. You got James Cook. Again, I'm okay with that at running back. But the wide receivers, you got Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel. Not terrible, but nothing to be terribly intimidated by either. And then their reserves or backups. You got Mac Hollins. You got You still got Valdez-Scantling, not bad there, and KJ Hamler. And we can't forget, Kincaid and Dawson Knox, not a bad tight end duo.
Sure.
It's certainly going to be a big mountain to climb, just adjusting. But I do think switching the OC was the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what they look like a full offseason. I'm not going to say the Bills are going to be just in a terrible downslope. I think they'll be able to figure out a way, especially how great Josh Allen is, and they finally fixed the run game. I mean, they would just dominate being pinned back to their own end zone. And then as soon as they get to the red zone, they'd fall apart because the run game was essentially non-existent. So with that being said, we're going to throw it to break here. We're going to keep talking some NFL. So don't go anywhere. Don't Punt Hour with Demorne Pierson-El.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, showers and thunderstorms likely. Some of those could be severe this afternoon. We'll see a high around 89. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely, with a low around 69. And tomorrow, we'll see a chance of showers and storms in the afternoon. Otherwise, partly sunny and a high around 89. I'm meteorologist Kyle Cook for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
NEPCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NEPCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEPCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
How about the top or game? But I think week 2, Colorado, of course. You got prime time coming in, and you want to shut him up because if he comes into Lincoln and figures out a way to get a win, you will never hear the end of it. And then I think week 9, Ohio State. Who are we as a football team at that point? But if we go in there and actually compete and give ourselves an opportunity to win, now you got to be talking about us. We got to be in the contention. Week 12, you come back, you're at USC. But then I think week 14 at Iowa, drop the Iowa game. That's a bad look because that's the last taste that you get in your mouth before the bowl game.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. And Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, it's Chad with Nutrition Authority. Enjoy internet-crushing prices at the back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 12th through Saturday, August 17th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location info, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
The Link Grill, Draft, and Crafts is your spot in Southeast Lincoln for great food and drink. They're serving new menu items and a killer craft cocktail menu with your favorite draft beers. You'll love their pizza and new entree options. It's a great place to watch any live events, and they have music bingo every month. They have an aggressive loyalty program that rewards fans with 7% back on all purchases. Home of the Nebraska Power Hour every night from 8 to 9 p.m. Order online at thelnkgrill.com or stop in at 84th and Highway 2 today.
Explain to me again why we're sleeping on the ground.
Because we're thramping, thrift camping. It's saving us money and getting us closer to nature.
But we don't need to thramp. I just combined our home and auto insurance with our State Farm agent, so we have a rate that fits our budget.
All right. Do you think our agent can bring us an air mattress?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I tried to get in the car down in Dallas. Tried to get in the guy. The guy was in the car. In the car. I got a big gulp and some. And I got a big
fiddled around.
Trying to get the guy. I opened the door. The guy's looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?"
You're lucky you look congenial.
And I kind of look like, see why?
Yeah.
See, same car. See it. And
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
Old School with DP and J.
Can Nebraska have a player-led locker room in year 2 under Matt Rule?
I think it could be in year 2. I always say this: we had great captains every year I was here, but I always say some of our best leaders weren't necessarily our captains. So I think when you have that, that's a player-led team. So it doesn't matter how old the quarterback is.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Good morning, Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in Don't Punt Hour with Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. As always, come take a weeknights. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line available to you. We're going to continue with some NFL. We're going to do the NFL preseason QB report. And then if we got more time, we're going to switch over to some Husker football. And who are the biggest rivals for Nebraska football? So, the morning, Pierson, I'll ask you this right off the start. We've seen some NFL preseason. We've kind of talked about it before. It's obviously pretty basic defenses, but has any quarterback caught your eye that, you know what, this thing might actually work out? I will say, if you were a fan of Stetson Bennett with the Chargers, it really is not looking great for him. He's certainly not one of those guys. But I think it's one touchdown, 4 picks, I believe he threw towards the bottom.
That was the Rams, not the Chargers, the Rams.
Oh, excuse me. Rams. Thank you. Similar color schemes. I won't do that to the Chargers, but certainly for the Rams, not what you're hoping for. But any of these NFL preseason QBs catching your eye, it doesn't even have to be a rookie. It can be a guy who's getting a shot.
Off the rip, I mean, Daniels, the way he commanded his first drive and everything like that, you accompany that with who his offensive coordinator is and the weapons that they have in Washington. As long as, he's understanding of what's going to happen and whatnot, I think he's going to have, a successful year.
I'll throw one out there that not a rookie, but Mitch Trubisky. It was actually pretty good for the Bills. I thought, again, pretty decisive. He was accurate. Wasn't anything that's going to blow you away, but it was a version of him that I actually thought was pretty solid. And I don't know if he's going to get another shot at a starting position anytime soon, but certainly if you have him as a backup QB, you feel pretty safe. He makes good, sound decisions. One of those guys that you feel pretty good about, especially if Josh Allen, the way he runs the ball, you never know. One day he might have to sit out, even if it's just for a concussion. But although being that tall, I don't know if he's going to reach the crown of his helmet. I think I'd throw Mitch Trubisky out there. This one, I don't want to dive too much into it because it's a bummer. But J.J. McCarthy, I mean, he looked awesome. Best QB rating in the NFL preseason so far. Very small sample size, though.
Well, it's very unfortunate that, you can't get things to follow up on that. He did look good as well. Brett Ripon actually played with Brett. I actually played with Brett in Denver. He can sling it. He looked like he wasn't losing a beat. He can throw the ball. He's a good quarterback, but he definitely looked, I know week 1, the Hall of Fame game, he was throwing darts left and right. And he knows where the ball is supposed to go. He can manipulate, the defense with his eyes and whatnot. He can make a lot of throws. and he's kind of a little agile, so he can get up out of there. So he didn't shock me, but excuse me, just for him to give the discipline, to give that display and to show a lot of people what he can still do.
What do you think about Spencer Rattler? I'm not going to put him up there as one of the guys that really impressed me, but it wasn't bad. I mean, he's a guy that's been bumpy through college. Go for it. Shoot.
Let the game slow down. For him, they might have found their successor down there in New Orleans. Carr, I mean, DC is one of my favorite quarterbacks. Love him to death. But I mean, if DC gives him an inch, he might take that and might not look back at all. He's special.
What are the things that makes him different? Because I think I know where you're going with this, but when he was with South Carolina, I was intrigued. He gets beat out in Oklahoma, and then those with Dylan Gabriel, he gets beat out and then moves to South Carolina, puts together some really good seasons there. What makes him special that you think if Carr starts slipping up, who a good quarterback in himself, that you think he can catch some ground and maybe take over?
One, I feel like he has a chip on his shoulder. Just coming from college, from where he was, and kind of being at the top of the ladder and kind of falling, you can say. I think he's seen both sides, and I'm pretty sure he won't let the hype or anything like that get to him again, because he's seen the other side of it. He's a talented thrower. He can throw the ball. I mean, deep ball. He's precise. He's accurate. He's mobile and whatnot. Especially with the NFL, the style of the quarterbacks that the NFL are trying to or going after, he fits that mobile, dual threat, but still pocket passer type quarterback. He brings versatility to the game, and with the right coaching system and whatnot, he'll be nice. And I mean, this coach down in New Orleans, this was the same coach that got DC his first $100 million contract. So you kind of 2.0 or reinvent yourself and have to do something. Be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, and then obviously we'll throw some of the more obvious ones, and then I want to get to a quarterback who, once again, I just feel bad for. I actually think he was playing pretty well, but man, the pressure would get to him nearly immediately. But the quarterbacks that obviously impressed people, you're going to talk about Caleb Williams. Bo Nix, not bad. He's actually looking pretty all right with the Denver Broncos. I'd be curious to see, how do they continue now moving on from Russell Wilson. But Jack Plummer, how to Purdue. Now, unfortunately, the Carolina Panthers, not necessarily the landing destination that most QBs want to end up on. But he took 5 sacks already in preseason. And it wasn't him, in my opinion. Sometimes, you could argue he held on to the ball a little bit too long, but he was accurate. I mean, he wasn't missing guys if they got open. The problem with the Panthers is, when will they get open? How long can my line hold up? What do you think about Jack Plummer? Like, can he actually carve out a role? Now, he's going to be behind Bryce Young, obviously, but is there a point at sometime in the future where you think Jack Plummer, after everything he showed at Purdue, he's definitely got it in him? Do you think he can carve out a role in the NFL?
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully, it doesn't happen. But I mean, as you've seen, he got sacked so many times. I mean, if your second and third string isn't too far from your first string, if Bryce gets hit too much, we've seen it happen with Joe. Joe's been hurt twice because he's been, hit too much.
Yep.
So,
saw it with Fields. We saw it with Tua. So
it's one of those things to where literally you're one play away from, playing. So as long as you do what you're supposed to and show that you can play and handle stuff or whatnot, you got joint practices that you played against, and he's probably gone at some point in times with a few of the ones to give the starter a break here and there and everything like that. He's shown potential. Definitely he can. If it's not with Carolina as a backup, somebody else will definitely pick him up and kind of bring him along of things or whatnot. You just gotta get to a place and do enough to where they like you enough to keep you around. Again, if the game's out of handle and they're not keeping up, they're not gonna keep Bryce in there. That's your time to shine and do things. So it's not a bad place because their starter is who their starter is. But that's fine. You're also on a terrible team. So if you continue to get blowout, the starter ain't gonna be in there. You gonna be in there. So and that's the time to to show people what you can really do and whatnot. And people will look at you and be like, that kid can actually play when after you're 2 or 3 years up. They'll remember certain things as long as you continue to be consistent, and you could be thus, years down the line. Or if you're doing things quite well or whatnot. We've seen the Vikings come looking mid-season for a quarterback already, so that's not unlikely. A team can act, can acquire you, can trade for you or whatnot, and you be thrown into, a new spotlight of, doing things. So, I mean, it's not unlikely for him to get a shot this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic on his potential for the future, especially, I don't even equate, you might get some time in there just because you're going to be possibly some blowouts. But I'll ask you this, because you mentioned Joe Burrow, and they're interesting, right? Because I think it's easier to get a stud wide receiver and just give your quarterback a option when that pocket starts to collapse, someone who you can rely on to consistently get open. And they didn't go try to fix the offensive line first, partially because I think it's easier to get a wide receiver. And then if you do fix the offensive line, they still can't block forever. And if you got no weapons, I think you're still going to be taking a ton of sacks or just throwing the ball away and the offense doesn't move at all. If you're a coach, like, what's more important to get your young QB? Do you need him to give them just at least a weapon? Or is it immediately like, no, we just got to take care of this offensive line? That's, even though it'd be great to have a weapon out there, that's going to be more important. Which way would you lean?
It depends, because you can go either way with a lot of options. You can trade for players. You can pick up players in free agency that that they're stout and elite. There's no timetable of getting them right. So it depends, who's available. Going for the Bengals situation, it's hard to pass up on, Jamar Chase, a talented. Of course, there are other talented receivers and whatnot, but it's different. The dude was dominant, arguably, one of the better, college careers as a receiver. You can plug in and you can pay, offensive line guys, for a year or two until your draft capital kind of gets to where you want at. It's all on what's the best, I guess you could say, in return for what you want to get. Let's say if Jamar wasn't, coming out that year, and that year had a strong offensive line, you got a generational, offensive line guys. Whether you got a Trent Williams like type person at left tackle, you got the dude from Iowa. He's a center. He plays for Baltimore, Lithenborn or whatever. But a guy that you can get in there who's going to be, he's going to be an NFL pro 14, 15 years to kind of get your line set up. It depends. Me personally, I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just kind of what is the board. What is the one thing that you can't miss on, like that might give you nightmares, that if you do miss on this person, it might help you not sleep for the next 2-3 years properly. So everybody has their logic of things. We've seen them kind of address their offensive line situation. They've gone out and got vets. They've gone out and got Orlando Brown. They've gone out and got Trent Brown. They've gone out and got different type of guys to plug in there to help Joe, not get hurt and whatnot. It just takes some time.
Yeah, and to your point, right? If you're the Chicago Bears, blue chip lineman sounds nice, but you got Rome sitting on the board still. He falls down. It's like, you're kind of crazy not to take that. I mean, he was projected to go higher, and he falls right into your lap with a quarterback and Caleb Williams, where it's like, well, this just kind of goes hand in hand. Yes, we could get the blue chip lineman, but Caleb Williams would be looking at you cross-eyed, like, what are we doing here? He fell right into our lap. So certainly kind of go that angle, but I do think the Bengals kind of woke people up to that. It's like, it's not going to matter if you have nobody to throw to. If you get weapons, even if the offensive line is not great, you can figure out a way to go deep into the playoffs, which is exactly what they did. We'll throw it to break here. One more segment. We're going to talk a little bit of college football, in particular, Sharon Moore, not worried. about the Michigan and the NCAA investigation. So don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling here on Take a Weeknights.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Are you a healthy non-smoker? Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, is seeking people like you, 19 to 64 years old with excess weight, to take part in a research study. You could earn up to $22,500 for participation. This study includes 1 10-night stay, 5 2-night stays, 1 1-night stay, and 17 returns. Learn more at helpresearch.com/dub or call 8662-13-2965.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit, long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Hey, it's Chad with Nutrition Authority. Enjoy internet-crushing prices at the back-to-school blowout. We're taking our better-than-internet prices and cutting them even deeper, bringing you the biggest sale of the season. Monday, August 12th through Saturday, August 17th, the back-to-school blowout is on at Nutrition Authority. For location info, check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
The Link Grill, Draft, and Crafts is your spot in Southeast Lincoln for great food and drink. They're serving new menu items and a killer craft cocktail menu with your favorite draft beers. You'll love their pizza and new entree options. It's a great place to watch any live events, and they have music bingo every month. They have an aggressive loyalty program that rewards fans with 7% back on all purchases. Home of the Nebraska Power Hour every night from 8 to 9 p.m. Order online at thelnkgrill.com or stop in at 84th and Highway 2 today.
Power outages can impact traffic lights. If you come across a non-functioning traffic light, treat the intersection as a four-way stop. Learn more safety tips at les.com/safety.
Do you have gently used books just waiting to be given new life in the hands of new readers? Linked to Literacy can help. We're gathering books for our second annual Wordstock event at Antelope Park on August 24th. It's a community-wide book swap where people can shop for free books and enjoy fun activities. From now until August 19th, you can drop off your book donations at several locations throughout Lincoln. So gather up books for both kids and adults and find a collection site near you at linktoliteracy.org. Then plan to join the fun on August 24th.
HealthLink is elevating the human experience with holistic health, weight loss, nutrition, fitness, and wellness solutions. They offer one-on-one health coaching while personalizing nutrition and wellness plans for structure and simplicity. HealthLink provides nutritious foods such as high-protein entrees, meal replacement snacks, and supplements. But that's not all. If you mention 93.7 The Ticket, you'll get a 5% discount on your order and $20 off your first month if you start a HealthLink subscription. Find your missing link with HealthLink today. on the southeast corner of 70th and Pioneers, or by phone at 402-858-9356.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Old School with DP and J.
Can Nebraska have a player-led locker room in year 2 under Matt Rule?
I think it could be in year 2. I always say this: we had great captains every year I was here, but I always say some of our best leaders weren't necessarily our captains. So I think when you have that, that's a player-led team. So it doesn't matter how old the quarterback is.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Des Moines Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Only just a couple minutes left here, and then we'll throw it over to What's Brewing with Chance of Brewington. We've got the host in the studio behind me, and joining him for the second time, Justin Adams, the voice of Big Ten Show on YouTube. So we'll talk plenty of Husker football in that next hour. If that's what you're waiting for, we'll have plenty of it for you. With that being said, though, let's talk Michigan, because Sharon Moore, it's interesting. I'm just eager for this thing to just be done and play out already. But he made an interesting comment. This one, Sharon Moore, on the reports of the deleted text messages to Connor Stallions. Of course, we still haven't seen those. His quote, "All I can say is I look forward to them being released." I mean, what do you make of this?
He bold.
Why delete him then? That's what I don't understand. You look forward to it, but why would you delete him in the first place?
It's gonna make somebody look. It's probably gonna make somebody look stupid. So I mean, that's probably. I mean, it's annoying. I'm already tired of it. We talking about something last year, like the NCAA is not gonna punish them how they should be punished. On to the next episode. Like I'm tired of it. It's annoying. It ain't fair. It ain't right. And they're not going to, do the right justice. So it's a waste of time, a waste of breath.
That's a good point to have it. I think we can wrap up on that. But yeah, it's just, it's just bizarre. It's like, why he's texting him individually if he's truly like this low on the totem pole, doesn't make sense. But you're right. He's bold. He's excited about it. He's eager for them to be released. Maybe he wants to put it behind him too. Who knows? He's
doing it for a reason. Like somebody's not going to say that if they don't have a confident reason not to. That's a little bit too confident, so it might, be bad for everybody else once things get, released. Which is crazy that nobody said anything exactly about what was recovered yet. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole case of, nothing, or they just got a hell of a law team up there that's just managing to avoid all these landmines. Because you're right, didn't really get punished. I think they're going to be a slap on the wrist at most as this thing continues to pan out. And the confidence from Sharon Moore tells you it's probably going to be not too harsh of a punishment. That's going to wrap it up. What's Brewing with Chance of Brewington up next. Don't go anywhere.
Are you ready for a new opportunity?